right, welcome, Casey. Thank you so much for being here and being my first guest for the Mixer Skirt. We're so excited to hear your story. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Nice. So, the whole goal of this podcast is to hear the voice of creators around bakery industry, be it that you own a bakery, you make cookies, there's all kinds of things. And I noticed that as we get more and more into social media, that, if you're not making bakery stuff, sometimes you're making the things that help people to do that. So, kind of tell me, where did it all start for you? Tell me about your company.
Sure. So, I have loved baking my entire life. I think I started mostly in high school when those Hello Cupcake books came out and the cupcake craze was really big. So, I've
Hmm.
always been a hobby baker. It's been a stress reliever for me. And I started to love cookies specifically when I was watching flooding videos online and I was falling asleep with my phone in my hand. And I just found it so therapeutic that I thought, I wonder if I could actually make the cookie. So I started to go online, find some resources, watch videos, and I taught myself how to make fancy decorated cookies. I love doing that. It's been a hobby for me, but I was really frustrated with my stand mixer, especially making royal icing. And the mixer skirt was born. My friend had recommended using a towel to lay over the stand mixer to catch some of that powdered sugar. And I just felt like you had to hold it. It didn't fit right. It was slipping through the cracks. Everything about it just wasn't right. And I thought there had to be a better solution for this. So I got my sewing machine out in my dining room and whipped up a prototype ultimately that I didn't realize it at the time, just for my own use. And the mixer skirt was born. I started to realize people were having the same problem as I did, and I decided to bring the product to market.
That's awesome. I know, like, I'll be honest, my husband helps me with ours, and he does the majority of the baking and the icing, where I turn around and do the decorating. And I know he tells me like that he doesn't like using the paddle mixer because on the mixing stand because it throws the flour and
It
throws the
does.
powdered sugar at him, and he's like, "Don't use that one. You pull the one without the paddle on it if you're gonna make icing." I'm like, "Dude, that's your deal. You help me."
Yep.
That's awesome. I know we saw you at we're not allowed to say the name of the event back in
That
November,
shall not be
but
spoken.
that should not be named. It's like almost like a Harry Potter reference. You can't say it. But how does that figure into your work life balance? Because I know you talked about that you have a normal 9 to 5. So how do you balance that out with your business?
Yeah, I'm really figuring that out. The event that shall not be spoken really put a fire under my butt to actually get this launched. I had done this as a quarantine project. I had it fully ready to go, and then I ran into some legal issues as far as trademarking and patenting.
Mm.
And I really sat on it for a while, and I probably would have sat on it for a bit longer if I didn't see this event. And I thought, you know what? Why not put it out there and see if the people who I connect with most connect with my product? And I had a great time. It was incredible. I was so overwhelmed. I was staring at my phone from midnight till 4 in the morning, just loving every minute of all the vendors and all the camaraderie. But so that was a really nice start to my business. As far as balancing the 9 to 5, I'm a full time medical device sales rep. I love it. I never wanted cooking to be my full time job. I really loved that it was a stress reliever. So now balancing a business into this is just day by day. I spent a lot of nighttime hours, weekend hours working on the mixer skirt when Monday through Friday my hours are all over the place and sometimes pretty long days. So I'm sure you know it's as a business owner in any situation, you're going to be working long hours. You take on that extra little bit to have that freedom and to do things that you want to do and create the things that you love to create. So there's a bonus to putting that extra time in. So I've really enjoyed it.
And I think that's an important thing to throw out there because we see a lot on social media about, the cookiers of the world. I've been there. I've kind of backed off the cookie making per se, but there's a lot of cookiers be up to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. making their cookies. And, I think it's great to throw that out there too. That's the us that make other things, be it cookie cutters, mixer skirts, all those things. We stay up too. And we're be some of the girl. I'm wearing I made this shirt, but I have a lot of, bakery shirts. I see your bakery shirt there. And those girls, they stay up too, I'm sure. I'm hoping to be able to talk to them a little bit too. And yeah, it's tiring. I don't know if you have kids. I do, and they want
Yeah.
my attention too. So not just the work-life balance, but that work-life family
Family.
balance, all
Sure.
of it kind of just plays together. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
I know we're just coming out of that holiday season that really hit a lot of bakers hard. And I know they're grateful for it because that's what they've worked so hard to get to. But
Sure. Yeah.
it's
It's a
exhausting.
grind.
It is a grind. My husband and I run this. I have a 9 to 5. I come home, I make cookies, I'm making cookie cutters. Honestly, if my husband didn't help me, I couldn't keep up with it because he does all our programming and everything for the cookie cutters or scribes. Like to my left and my right are my 3D printers. We have them named after Big Bang Theory characters. The Penny is over here and Bernadette's on the other side.
That's
So we just
great.
kind of try to make it fun. Just to be silly and have because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be
Right.
creative and artistic. Like for me, not that it's about me, but it's about you. But the whole reason I got into making cookies was for art
Hmm.
and to have fun with it. So, can you kind of tell me a little bit about like you talked about making your skirt, you talked about sewing it together, but like what is it made of? Kind of tell everybody what is it exactly?
Sure. It's 100% cotton muslin gauze, similar to like a baby burp cloth. So it's
Okay.
really absorbent. I tried a bunch of different fabrics, stretchier ones, more waffle texture, and this one really was the one that did the best as far as catching both wet and dry ingredients. And then I went through a couple of different trial and errors of the waist itself for the to grip to the neck of the stand mixer and landed on this stretch band with a strip of silicone in it and then 4 snaps so it's adjustable. I wanted it to be a one size fits most for standard kitchen stand mixers. And I'm
Mhm.
actually tweaking it a little bit right now to grip a little bit better. I've gotten some feedback as far as the smaller necks, it slips a little bit more. So I'm adding an extra grip layer. It's really just been a bit of trial and error and perfecting it as I go.
And is it like just throw it in the wash machine if when you're done with it?
Exactly. You can hand
Nice.
wash it, hang dry, or throw it in the washing machine, gentle cycle, and hang dry.
That's awesome. I'm sure like that'd be a huge benefit for a lot of people that are constantly cleaning their kitchens because they got flour everywhere. We need to come up
Absolutely.
with one for airbrushing because that stuff gets everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I got you. So
In the
let's talk
pipeline.
a little. Yes, yes, put in the pipeline because I get that stuff all over the place. Drives my husband nuts. Um, let's talk a little bit about social media. This is a podcast. The goal of this is to be publicized and be social, maybe some YouTube and all that. I know me, we talked a little bit before this where I said I'm actually a pretty introverted person. So being on social media for me has been a change, but it's honestly a necessary evil. If you're not out there and exposing yourself for your products, people don't know you exist. So how has social media for you been?
Yeah, it is a necessary evil, unfortunately, and I feel the same way. I've just never been one to broadcast my life on social media, even with close friends and family. I'm just more so like I always regret not taking the picture because I'm so in the moment and then I want it later. But it's been a learning curve, and I feel so fortunate to have this access with social media. So I'm really trying to lean in a bit and get out of my comfort zone and do things I wouldn't normally do, put my face on the screen and just kind of power through it. I know we talked a little bit about just handling the feedback and sort of that face behind the screen that either could be aggressive or just not give you the positive response that you consistently need. So it's just a learning curve. And I think the most important thing with anything is just leaning into it a little bit harder than you normally would and trying new things and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, and for me, I know, and I'm sure you get them too, the spam messages, the trying to decipher if this is real or not, and people's criticisms. And I've gotten some great feedback on my products too, and some of it I'm looking at and be like, I get what you're saying, but that really only relates to your problem, not the
Sure.
mass. And so kind of just dealing with those rude comments and I don't know, for me, honestly, I just look at it with critique, and then if I really feel like it's off the cuff, I'll just block them. 'em. I'll hide things. I don't like that negativity. I think that's one of the great things about the sugar cookie marketing page is that they don't put up with anything.
Hmm.
Like, and the cookie community has been some of the most supportive people I think I've ever seen in the majority.
So
So it's
supportive.
rare. It's rare that you get someone that just goes off the cuff, but I guess maybe people have bad days. It
Yeah.
happens.
It's really important to take a look at the comment and see, is it just a comment or is it something that needs to be addressed? And if you start to either see consistency or things that may raise a flag for you, then you can take a look at it and say, is this something I need to work on or is it something I just need to ignore? And sometimes it's finding that happy balance of that.
Exactly. That's a great way of looking at it, and I honestly wish a lot more people would look at that. Some people I always tell people that most people don't wake up to ruin your day. Just
Yeah.
something happens that maybe put them in a bad mood or something that affected them, but they didn't wake up with the goal of ruining people's days.
Yeah.
Some people
And
may, but there's some crazy people, but for the most part, it's not their goal.
yeah. And it's
Just
all about how
something.
you take any punch.
Yeah,
It's about how you handle it.
yeah, 100%. Um, so you talked about that you started kinda doing cupcakes. Or you just kinda did cupcakes when they first came out?
Yeah, I haven't done cupcakes too much now. That was just the big craze was when they first started with the cupcake craze. That was I was in high school when I started baking. So I very vividly remember that. And it was at the time where you were like taking Twinkies and turning them into sharks and getting really creative with those, other objects creating this visual on a cupcake.
Yep, I made some, Twinkies that were Minions one time, like Minions on
Yeah.
top of the cupcake, like, frosted
Yep.
them blue on the bottom. They were
Dip
fun.
it. Yeah.
Um, yep. So I just wondered if there was, like, anything that you would pass along. It doesn't necessarily have to be baking, but, like, what would you tell somebody that's trying to do really, I guess, any industry? Because yours is kind of broad, but I think your advice could probably expand across anything and wanting to tackle.
Yeah, I saw actually a quote recently. I have no idea who said it, but it said, "You can't learn to drive in a parked car." And it really hit me
Mm.
because the reality is a car is dangerous, right? Like you could do some serious damage if you don't operate it appropriately, or you could just never get in a car and you never learn how to drive and you limit yourself in so many ways. And I think that it's so important to just put the car and drive and take that first step, and you can be cautious and you can be very smart about your decisions and you can take it really slow, but you're never going to learn if you don't just start the car. And I really like that because I try and think about everything that I do in the sense of you give it your best shot. Maybe you'll fail, maybe you'll quit, maybe you don't love it, and maybe you stop, but at least you never look back and you think, damn, I wish I took that shot. Because that is the worst feeling to me.
That's a great quote. I'm gonna have to write that one down because that's kinda what I've done each year that I've started doing this was just, "Okay, what can I add?" And honestly, I think sometimes I overfill my plate, but, because I always have so many great ideas, and then
Mhm.
when it gets to it's like, "Oh, I have to sleep sometime."
Yeah,
So
you definitely need to sleep. Yeah.
very important. So, what do you, like, see for, 2024? What are some goals that you're wanting to tackle?
Ooh, I thought about this pretty hard when you had said it. I would love to be profitable for by the end of this year. I think that's a big stretch goal, but it really puts things into perspective as far as this year and making it a really big ramp up year for me. I know average a business, it takes 2 to 3 years from time to time to get things rolling and really get a good groove going. So I'm going to put that as my stretch goal. I'm going to reach for the stars here. But really, just day to day, I want to master the social media. I want to build that following. I want to build that community that I've kind of sat from the background and watched and have really enjoyed and gave me the courage to put this out. If they're seeing the community get together and talk through their issues they have and different things like that. So big goal, profitable, but little goal, build that online visibility.
Mhm. That takes time.
Yeah.
And, eventually you get that visibility, you could probably monetize your stuff and there would be some income from that as well.
That would be awesome.
That's what I'm trying to get to with all these cookie decorating reels. But
Yep.
it's a process. Like you said,
Yeah.
2 to what do you say, 3 to 5 years sometimes
Yeah.
to make a profit. So I was thinking, going back to your and how they fit on the mixers, right? I know the Bosch mixers are the bigger kind of push right now. Do they fit on those?
I haven't tried a Bosch mixer. I know the Bosch mixer is designed a little bit differently, and I think the thought of the Bosch mixer too was to really address that sort of flying out of the bowl concept where it's lower to the bowl.
Mm,
But I will have to try it. I know that those are big for I have seen that most people are using that for their dough and still using their KitchenAid for the frosting, so hopefully we've got some longevity
got
with the mixer skirt.
gotcha. Yes, we have 2 mixers. One of them is a newer one, and the other one, it was actually my husband's grandmother's, so it's, like,
Oh,
legit heavy steel, but it still works, so I'm not gonna get rid of it, but I don't
I
know
love
how it's
that.
probably 20 years old for
Wow,
who's gonna throw out a mixer that still works.
that's
But, yeah, it's
awesome.
it's an older version, but, yeah, I haven't moved over to the Bosch ones yet, but I know that a lot of people have spoke highly of them. But yeah, I didn't think about that. That might be in the design of it as well.
Mhm.
Uh, that yeah. So have some fun questions. So a lot of people kind of listen to different things. What listen to when you're working on your skirts?
I usually listen to true crime. I'm a big true crime podcast fan. And then music, I love everything. I love Dolly Parton, I love punk. I will put anything on. Um, I hate to admit it, I like radio. I like a Z100, anything to just kind of pass the time.
Nice. I saw recently on your feed your dog was picking the color or the logo. I can't remember which one.
Color. Mhm.
Yes. And what's your dog's name
Yeah.
again?
Her name is Betty. She is almost 12 years old. She's my firstborn. She's just a sweet dog, and we've battled with her with a lot of health issues and things like that recently, so we're just grateful for every day with her. She's such a good dog.
That's awesome. I had one. My first dog, he lived to 12, almost 13. He was
Oh,
the best dog. Best dog.
yeah.
My little pound puppy.
Oh, so
And
cute.
but yeah, I thought it was so cute to let her pick the skirts, the colors and everything. I thought that was adorable.
Thank you.
I love that. What else do you want to leave people with? Like what's on your mind these days?
Hmm.
Tell me
Man, I
about people who might be doubting an idea that they have.
if you're doubting an idea, you should talk to your friends and family first. They're gonna be your biggest supporters, and they'll be honest with you. They may give you some doubts, but it gives you the opportunity to say, "Can I address these doubts if they come up in the real world or in the application that I want to put my business towards?" I definitely got some feedback, and I think I'm more of a optimist as far as can I make this work, where other people gave me their hesitations, and I took those hesitations to heart, but I said, how do I work around them? And I was able to still push through and make things work. So it's important to, again, going back to what we kind of talked about before, it's important to take those with a grain of salt. Is it something you truly need to think twice about, or is it something that you can kind of brush to the side and it's not of an issue when it comes down to what you want to do? I really think the best advice is just get out of your head. Just get out of it.
It's a scary place in there sometimes.
Yeah, you just got to get out. You got to put something down on paper. Do something, anything, even if it's little. You know, if you're a cookier and you want to start selling, get to a market, sell on a porch, you know, a little porch sale, see how you get that first sale and feel really good about it, and then kind of grow as you can manage it.
Nice. I love that. Well, before we talk about your handles and how people can get a hold of you, is there anything else you want to leave everybody with?
No,
All
thank you
good?
for having me. Yeah. This has
I
been
appreciate you
great.
coming. I'm still trying to figure this out myself. Like you said, diving in feet first and seeing
Yep.
what's gonna happen.
If you're not taking a fall, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I can dream about something. I always say, if you don't ask the answer is always no.
Yep, exactly.
So if you don't try, it's definitely never gonna happen. You can guarantee it. So this is me trying.
I love it.
So tell everybody, I'm gonna include your handles in the show notes, but tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Mixer Skirt, or visit our website at www.themixerskirt.com.
Wonderful. And again, we'll include that in the show notes so people can go out and see Betty and find your skirts and so they can make less kitchen messes for
I love it.
themselves. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, this podcast is sponsored by my company, One Smart Cookie and Crafts. And again, I'm on all social channels at this point. But I hope you'll come back and listen to more people talk about the wonderful world of creating. Thank you so much.